38 championships, 3 COD champs winners. What made you so consistently successful?
I see people who are playing to win, and I see people who don't care about winning. If you don't go 100% in every scrim, you're going to be average.
What do you want to do with racing? And I'm talking actual racing.
I want to win Le Mans. I think if you compete in anything, you have a time limit on how long you can do that and maintain passion for it.
Who is on your COD Mount Rushmore excluding yourself? This episode of the Breaking Point podcast with D-Real was sponsored by Prize Picks again. Thank you very much. This episode has been amazing. Thank you very much, Crim, for coming on. Make sure you do use referral code Breaking Point. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100. Easy money. This is for Prize Picks. Referral code Breaking Point. Get your first deposit matched up to $100. We've got some cracking games this week to bet on. We have Seattle versus the New York Subliners, Minnesota versus Miami. That's going to be a tasty series. Atlanta FaZe versus Carolina. Carolina have somewhat to prove after their first week performance. Boston versus Seattle. New York versus Vegas. LAT versus Carolina. And Miami versus LAG. A lot of good games to bet on. Make sure you are using the referral code Breaking Point. Get your first deposit matched up to $100 on Prize Picks, guys. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the episode. The first of its kind in esports, New York are offering what we call a battle pass on nysl.io. What this does is complete the quests. Whether you follow, like a video, you'll receive points. Collect your points, save up your points, and you can use these points for rewards to be redeemed at nysl.io. Rewards can include dinners with the team, sit-ins with the team, watching scrims, meet your favorite pro players, get the cardigan, get some apparel. Up to you, whatever the rewards are in the moment. It's nysl.io. Sign up, do the quests, redeem the rewards. Hey guys, make sure you check out dreal.co.uk. This is my private one-to-one coaching sessions. I offer courses for COD for any level, both as an individual, and I also offer team services. It's dreal.co.uk. I've got limited spaces open. Make sure you buy before spaces run out. Thank you very much. 38 championships, 3 COD champs winners, 2014, 2017, 2020. COD Champs 2020 MVP. You are what everyone describes as a serial winner, right? What made you so consistently successful, both as an individual and as from a team perspective?
Definitely the preparation aspect. I feel like I prepare differently, more efficiently. And I'm putting in more time than anyone else. I think that often goes overlooked. Yeah, I would say is like I don't prepare like everyone else when they like team with me. They're just like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. And to me, it's like what people don't really talk about is how many years in a row I lost. And that was when I was preparing for tournaments like everyone else. And then I was like, hold on, let me do something different. Yeah. And then that's when I started winning and just maintain that.
I think there's one thing that I'll remember from our time together that has stuck with me since to this very day is that feeling before every event. Yeah. If you prepared correctly and you prepared as much as you can, you know you're going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I remember...
And there's nothing better than that feeling. No. There's literally... Because you're not even going into a tournament at that point. Yeah. It's just... You're going into like... almost like you know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. Until it happens. Yeah. And that's the best feeling ever.
That was... We had that feeling for Major 5 last year. Yeah. And I remember saying to Troy... Yeah, Ian used to say this all the time. Yeah, going into that event, we're going to win this event. Yeah, and there's another thing that stuck with me that you used to say all the time, especially when it came to preparation, is keep things stupid simple. Yep, and that has been the for me particularly like the foundation of when we approach practice.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like to nitpick and overthink things.
Yeah, no, yeah, you start getting into your own head.
Yep.
Doing that, and it's just like it's the more simple you can keep things, the more like processing power your brain has.
Yep.
So it's like if you nitpick things and then you nitpick 10 different things.
Yeah.
Right. You either like in that scenario, the person might be able to remember two to three.
Yeah. But
if you keep things simple and do 10, like at minimum, they're probably going to remember 8.
Yeah.
So that's just what I've always done.
And we call that deliberate practice.
Yeah.
So when we do that. So what was so different about your preparation, if you want to share?
I would probably intensity. Mm-hmm. Like most people, they'll win maps and be like, not talk about it, not this and that. Like if we won, but I saw some stupid shit.
Yeah.
I'm yelling at somebody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like to me, in my mind, the ideal win is 250 to 0. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't really, I mean, while that's not possible, right? It's like, that's how you need to be thinking.
Yeah.
Because 250 to 0 is like no mistakes, no mess ups, no errors. You played a perfect game. Like that to me is a perfect game, not 250 to 100 or 250 to 150. So yeah, I mean,
because you're sounding very Kobe-like right now, because that's what something he used to say. Yeah. He used to say you want to aim for perfection, knowing you can't attain perfection, but how far or how close to perfection can you get?
Yeah, I mean, that to me was, out of all the like greats, like I probably looked up to him the most. Yeah. Because I was like, he thinks how I think, or I think how he thinks. But yeah, it's, again, I've said this a couple times. Thinking like that is the best way to compete. Worst way to live. Like it's so.
Explain more.
It's so tough because then, like, if you think like that in like a daily life or just even in competitions, then like you never are gonna reach your goal, like of that 250 to 0 game, or maybe, you know, whether it's exercise or business related, like you're always reaching for something that's physically not obtainable. Yeah. And you're always going to fall short. But the positive to it is that you're always going to keep striving to do better and better and better. Like every single time you do something, you're going to be aiming to do better than the last time pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll agree, based on what you've just said, that you need to experience failure to win. Yeah. Right. And you've won so much, right? Yeah. So what advice would you give to the people that are watching? How do you not really embrace failure, but how do you squeeze as much as you can from failure? I'll give you an example for someone like me that competed, watching you play. Yeah. I was afraid to fail. Yeah. And when I did fail, I didn't squeeze what I could out of it. So what advice can you give to the people watching to use failure?
I mean, number one, first thing is don't let it beat you up. Like, don't let it affect your confidence. Yep. And then there's so many, like, if you can truly do that part, right, then failure is always going to be a lesson. Yeah. And, like, you know, when you pair that with the mentality of, like, trying to get that 250-0 game. Yeah. Right. And then you're like, okay, I'm not afraid to like let them get some points or whatever. Then it becomes like everything is now a lesson. You like, you're not afraid to fail. You're not afraid of the win or loss. Like your only goal at that point now is to get better. Yep. And you know, like I forget what the exact quote is, but it's like you learn twice as much when you fail versus like when you win. Yep. Yeah, and I mean, once you get in that mindset of like, I'm not afraid to lose, I'm going to try my best, then now everything, whether you win or lose, is now a lesson. Yeah. It's now an opportunity to improve.
So then how did you get into that mindset? Because I've noticed it with, I would say, I think this generation of CDL pros is not only are they scared to fail, but it's almost like they're playing not to lose rather than playing to win. If that makes sense.
That's a lot of the criticisms I had for other players, other players on other teams throughout my career was exactly that. Like I see people who are playing to win, and I see people who don't care about winning. Yeah. And ultimately, that's what sort of describes a player. Like, are you playing to win, or are you playing to, or you don't care about it? Yeah. You know, whether they're trying to look good or keep a salary or try to get to a different team, like that all falls into the like I don't really care about winning and losing.
Or truly caring about.
Truly not caring about winning and losing. Yeah. Like they're doing it for other reasons. Yeah. And anyone like that throughout my entire career, I was like, get them the fuck away from me. Yeah. Like I do not want to play with them. I'd take a worse player like that plays to win rather than that.
Yeah. Okay. We'll touch on that a bit later. I've got a couple of questions about that anyway. But for you, because you've won over so many years, you've won with different cards, mechanics change, jetpacks, boots, you name it. That requires a high degree of self-awareness. I know you. Yep. You are so self-aware.
Now we're talking about, to me, the most important thing out of whether it doesn't matter if what you're playing or what you're competing in. But I'm not talking about no hippie shit self-awareness. I'm talking about like competitive self-awareness. Yes. Like I think it is the most important thing above discipline, above determination, above anything like that. Because what's worse than being shit at something?
Not knowing your shit at something.
Not knowing your shit at something.
Yes.
That is the most important thing. It's like that is the source of pretty much all problems, all successes is being aware. Yep. And to me, it's often like overlooked, or people like don't really put value to it
because they don't know how to.
Yeah, or they're not even aware enough to fucking realize it. But yeah, to me, that's like say when you win a tournament, you have to be what I'm talking about with the whole awareness is you have to realize, okay, the next tournament, if we want to win, it is going to be 2 times harder than the tournament we just won. So what do we have to do? We have to practice twice as much.
Double down.
Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? Like it all stems, that is the source. Yeah. And that's how you win consistently. That's how you get better quickly. That's how to realize like, hey, we're bad right now. Like, what do we do to fix it? Yeah. If you are self-aware to that point, then everything is now quicker and it's more efficiently. It's like, you're not waiting for a random stroke of luck, or say someone like has been doing something wrong the whole time and you're losing and you're not aware of that, that source. Yeah. That someone just fucking changed something for no reason. Like if you're aware of it, you can fix it quicker.
Yes. I've got 2 things to say about that. Number one is working with you made me realize that you are the personification of all the good that they say in textbooks on how to win, leadership, stuff like that. Self-awareness with these academics, if you want to read how to lead a business, how to coach, how to do all these things, the first thing they will say is self-awareness. Yeah. And seeing that in you day to day is the personification of that. And saying, okay, this works. And to your point, we experienced what you were saying about the doubling down bit. Yeah. After winning Major 1 last year. Yeah. And it's called, in again, academics, it's called going for the gap. Yeah. Right? You want to double down, you want to improve, you want to change because you got a big target on your back. Yeah. And the thing I respect about you, and this is the difficult thing in the moment, is after you win, to then not be complacent and double down. Yeah. You don't realize it. Yeah. Unless you have that self-awareness. And I'm telling you, it was in the moment it was difficult to realize that when you lose, then you're like, okay, shit, we should have done this, this, and this.
Well, I think that's what sort of helped me, like, not only the self-awareness, but like the fact that I'd win and almost like memory reset, like celebrate for 24 hours, and then like, guess what? We got to go out there. We got to go out there and do it again.
Yeah.
And now, except this time, it's going to be harder.
Yes.
Like I was aware of that, but then I also like would just forget tournament wins. Mm-hmm. Like to me, it was just like if you can't perform that day,
yeah,
like you're not thinking about the past, you're not thinking about the future. It's that day. Mm-hmm. Like it could be a Tuesday after a tournament, and if you don't win your scrims that day, like who cares if you won the turn like a major 2 days ago?
Yeah,
like if you can't win today, like who cares? Mm-hmm. You know, you got to get better.
Yep, I agree.
So,
just for the viewers out there, what self-awareness is essentially the knowledge of your strengths, your weaknesses, your character, your processes, all of these different things that get you to where you are. And that's what self-awareness is. Now, for you, Ian, is that self-awareness you had when you first started competing, let's say in Halo, or was that something that you had to learn over time?
I would say I've always had it, but I had to learn how to have it for a team level.
What's the difference?
Well, there's like individual, right, which is all based on your play style and what you're doing on the map. But then there's also things like once you say, for me, for example, I never really had it in Halo because I didn't really understand Halo.
Right.
But once you understand Call of Duty or whatever game you're playing, then you can understand the team aspect as well. So it's like people would always say like, you know, not the most individually talented or this and that, but in my mind, I'm thinking about myself, but I'm also thinking about the team. I'm also thinking about the opponents, right? And it's like, and you have to have awareness for all three.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I'm lacking here individually. Our team strength is here. Their weakness is here. And you have to like literally sort of throw that all together and figure out a way to win.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's hard as shit to do when you're juggling all three. It's if you can find a good player who can manage all three, that I think those are the most like invaluable players there is.
Okay. Could you name any in the current CDL landscape?
I mean, probably, well, on your team, Kismet.
Yep.
I don't really know FaZe all that well. I think maybe Simp, or I think it's Simp who usually runs most, or it might be a BZ. I don't know. Fuck those guys. Definitely not Celium. On OpTic, it's probably like
Ken, right?
Kenny, yeah. I was thinking Kenny too. Ultra, probably Envoy.
Maybe Insight.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to him much.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So, let's move on slightly. I know your work ethic from working with you. I know your desire, your methods to win. I still believe if you played, you'd be able to compete, no doubt.
Yeah.
And obviously, you talked about it before. There's some offers you didn't want, right?
I mean, man, it's... The issue is skill-wise and everything considered, probably. But in terms of passion... Like I couldn't get Call of Duty to I would never. How do I describe this? It was like after COVID, Call of Duty seemed like a chore, and I could never make it. No matter how I try to trick myself, no matter how much I tried to have fun playing, no matter what I did, in my mind it was always work. And that's sort of when like and once you start thinking like that. It's a wrap. Like,
so then, Ian, when did you know it was time for you to retire? Then was there like a singular moment where you thought, okay, I can't do this anymore? Was it that feeling of it doesn't feel like it feels like a job for that over the 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say when it started to get worse and worse or more intense, like the feeling of like this is a fucking chore.
Yeah.
And ever since like the COD Champs win in 2020, like every single event was worse in terms of it becoming a chore. I'd say probably Minnesota.
The Vanguard, yeah.
Yeah, was when I was like, dude, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
That shit was, because
Did we have Clay at the time? No, it was Nep and...
no, it was Clay.
Was it Clay, Minnesota?
Yeah. Clay, Nep.
No, I think it was Nep and Kiz, right? No, Nep and Paul, sorry. Nep and Paul.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that event when we got... I was like, dude, because never... And especially because it was back-to-back.
Yeah.
Like double first-rounded, fucking one map. The whole... Like, because I was thinking about that. Like, I used to go to tournaments and not lose maps.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now I'm going to a tournament and I'm flying across the country to win one fucking map and then fly back. Like, that's when I knew. I was like, damn, I must suck. Like I'm not as good as I used to be. Because back then, like, I could probably single-handedly carry us to like
a Sunday at least.
Well, not even a Sunday. At least 2 map wins. Like, but one is fucking sad. Like, I remember, like, it was just bad times.
It was. So then, how does that? let's move on. We don't have to talk about that anymore. Man. Yeah, but then, as someone that's won so much as you have, and then we ended up winning the Pro-Am.
Yeah.
How did that? Like, how do you deal with that change in confidence, that difference in confidence, the fact that someone like you, is feeling feeling like it's rock bottom?
Yeah.
How do you then deal with that? How do you change that around?
Well, I mean, we didn't really have a choice.
No, but how did you as an individual?
I mean, when we had the roster change, that was definitely a reset. But then in the online scrims leading up to the Pro-Am, I was like, damn, like, Kismet's good.
Yeah.
Kismet's good. Paul started frying. Paco was happier.
Yeah.
I was playing better. I don't know. It was like everything sort of just came together. As far as like the mental side of things, like when that happens, when you're, comparing 2 different things and one is rock bottom and one is like winning, like you're just along for the ride at that point. The harder shit is when you win, get knocked down, and then like say you keep losing or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, everything for the Pro-Am, everything just sort of fell into place. I think everyone was putting in time, and I was just like, damn, I finally get to play this game how it should be played.
Yeah.
It literally like that. Our team was so bad for the first half of that year that I was like, not only were we behind in terms of skill, but we were also behind in terms of knowledge.
Yes.
Like, I remember even after like stage 2, like, this is how important a team is, because if you're only going from 8s to, say your team's bad, you don't really know what you're doing, and then you start playing 8s and you're like, this shit's rocket science. Then your team is like severely lacking on understanding. And we had to deal with that for, what was it, 4 months?
Yeah.
So it was like the moment Kismet came in, like he's, the challengers, and he's the one telling us how to play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, we are fucking idiots. Like, we are idiots. We gotta understand some things. Yeah, I mean, but the way he wanted, or the way he was like, telling us we should do this, everything worked.
I felt like we had an element of that though before Kiz was in. I think the issue with those is when things are so dysfunctional like that, in game, it's hard for us to be productive and improve. Because I still think we knew how to play the game for the most part. It's just
we didn't understand a single advanced.
That's method. What I'm saying. We had the foundations there, but you can't work on improving that. If the practice isn't good, right? And we're struggling with all these other things, but
whole bunch of crap.
we won't talk. We won't talk about
that's mountains of shit.
That's in your autobiography when it comes out. Okay, so moving on. How did you develop that discipline to stay consistent? To give you guys a bit of a reference on Ian, especially during that Vanguard year, every single day, every single session, he is going 110%. He's on time. He's early, like an athlete should, which is something that...
I wasn't doing that the year before, though.
The year before?
Yeah.
Forget about the year before.
Yeah.
I'll just talk to you about me and you.
I just want to make that clear, because Ender... and you know, everyone on Empire is like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably one of the biggest fuck ups of my whole career was not doing that for the year after we won champs.
Is it complacency?
I think I hated the game too. I was like, even though I didn't like looking, like I think what it was I was naturally good at the game,
right?
At Cold War,
yeah.
And yeah, and complacency.
So you'd go back and you'd double down, do it all again.
Yeah, okay, for sure.
So forget that year.
Yeah,
the year with Vanguard year. So you were very consistent with the discipline, with the effort, stuff like that. Obviously, you weren't perfect. None of us were. But is that something? Was that through obsession? Was that passion? Is that something you learned? Like, is that something you can even teach? Because that's something that's lacking in.
I don't think so. I don't think you can teach that. That's just like drive. That's like, it's just the desire to not be just good in a moment or be, you know, great in a moment. It's to like consistently be great. Like for me, you never had to tell me that.
Yeah.
You never. Like other people, like they don't even, it's weird. That's something that I would never, like no one would have to say that to me. I just knew. But then other people, like you have to remind them fucking daily.
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you don't go 100% in every scrim, you're going to be average.
You're going to regret it.
Yeah. And well, of course. But see, I think that nowadays, like most people are okay with the average. And to me, it's just insanity. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
It's like, who wants to just skim by? Who wants to just be not even remembered?
Yeah.
Like that. I've never understood that. So I think that it's something that like either you learn at a young age or you're born with it.
So then on the days where you don't want to get out of bed, on the days where you don't feel like you wanna come in, what got you through them?
That never happened.
Never happened?
Never happened. The only days where I wouldn't want to come in would be like days where it's like our whole team wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, okay, I'm going to the offices. You know, I'm going to go 100%, but my teammate can't even show up.
Yeah.
Like that to me is disrespectful.
Yeah.
But in terms of besides that, overall scrims, like my day sort of always would revolve around those scrims, that practice. So I never really had that feeling ever of like, I don't want to scrim today. You like winner, like whether our team is in the complexity era or OpTic era where we're just winning everything, or if it's the Minnesota, I don't even know where the first land was.
I can't remember where the first land was.
Yeah.
What year? What?
Vanguard.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Arlington?
Whether it's like our team is so bad we've won 2 maps and 2 events, like no matter what, I'm looking forward to scrims and practice. Because that's where we get better. Yeah. And that's where, like, again, what I was saying, that's where you become great.
Okay. So move on slightly. For the viewers out there who want to do what you did, who want to be you, what was your pre-game ritual for COD? How did you lock in? Did you have one? Did you?
Definitely do this.
Yep.
Get the blood flow. This actually fucking works. Yeah, you do that, and then your hands will feel like lighter. I swear. I don't know. Just in terms of mentally, maybe close my eyes for a little bit, and like I'd only do that mainly when it's like main stage. Sort of just tune out the crowd.
Yeah,
and just tune out the lights, tune out everything other than the people sitting beside you and the monitor right in front of you.
Yep.
What else? I'd often listen to death metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some fucking crazy shit.
I remember that in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? What else did I do?
Jumping
jacks. Yeah, jumping jacks. That shit works.
It did.
Dude, you know what's crazy for the racing? We do a whole bunch of other stuff like that, exercises, and I've tried it like not doing any and then doing some.
Yeah.
And I'm way fucking faster if I actually do like a proper warm up, but before I get in the car. So it's like, I think if I'm you, I'm telling my whole fucking team to do something to like get the blood flowing, get ready. Like it's okay to just sweat a little tiny bit before you go out there. That means you're warm.
Do you do the drops?
The drops?
The F1 drops where you're like this.
Oh yeah.
That. So we do that. We stole that from Formula 1.
Dude, we do crazy shit now.
So what's the difference then between your pre-race ritual?
Well, I mean, we're doing stuff for like, we're activating like all muscles.
Right.
So whether it's like legs, calves, reaction time, coordination.
Yeah.
Like we're doing things like rows, like ab twist, blaze pods. Have you seen those like triangle stick things where it's like red, green, blue?
No.
And you throw it to each other. And in the middle of the toss, you tell the color. You're like green. And then they have to catch it on the green.
On the what?
And you'll do that like back and forth. Then we have these little glasses that it's like this, but like fast as fuck. And so you're pretty much relying on like single eye coordination, and you're catching a ball like that's being thrown at you.
Yeah.
Then we have like the little ladder things where you go 1 foot in, 2 feet in, 1 foot out, 2 feet out.
Yeah.
Like doing stuff like that. So I wish I did a lot more of that stuff when I was playing Call of Duty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I didn't realize how much it changes when I'm getting in the car doing that versus not doing that.
Yeah. Do you do stuff like meditation, visualizing and stuff like that?
We do visualizing stuff in the car, but not in the car, outside the car, but I don't know.
Would you not like sit on a track in a corner, close your eyes and just like visualize
well, they'll take a stopwatch, say, all right, you're crossing the finish line now. Start the stopwatch, the person will close their eyes, pretend like they're driving it, and then at the end of the lap in their head, they'll say stop, and then see where that time correlates to the actual lap times.
Yeah.
So, but I'm fucking terrible at that. I'm terrible at that, but I know the tracks. So
yeah. What's your biggest advice for the next generation of COD pros? If you could give one piece of advice based on what you've seen at the end of your career, what you're seeing on socials.
Yeah. I don't know. Best piece of advice would just have to be like, ask yourself, like, not how do you want to be remembered, but like, how do you want to, I don't know. But it's something to get them to ask themselves, do I want to be the best? Do I just want to make it pro? Do I want to, like, what do I want to do with this? And just get them thinking about that, because like, again, I'm all about the source of anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, if, I could offer like play more than your opponents or whatever, right? But if you play more than your opponents, but you don't want to be the best there ever was, you're not going to do shit. So it's all about identifying what you want to do with this. Mm-hmm. And once you ask yourself that question and have an answer, then that's where you go from that.
So my question for you is, what do you want to do with racing? And I'm talking not simulating, I'm talking actual racing. Where do you want to go?
I want to win Le Mans.
Yeah?
I want to do endurance stuff at the highest level.
What do the steps look like for that?
Well, right now, I'm at sort of the serious level.
Yep.
But super entry level of the serious level. For example, if I took all my COD winnings, post taxes, post org cut, it would fund me for one season in this level where I'm at right now, which is fucking insane. Like, so the goal is to move up.
Yeah.
obviously I'm starting late, so it's extremely complicated. Definitely want to stay doing stuff with Porsche.
Yeah.
I would love to drive for Porsche in the future or this and that in the multi-car championship. So, you know, where there's BMW, Aston Martin, Mercedes, like I'd want to drive for Porsche.
Yeah.
But because of my age and because of how late I've started, that might not even ever happen. Because the way it usually works is they'll be called factory drivers.
Yeah.
And that's like people who rep Porsche who will go from team to team, like just jump around pretty much. But with me, because of my age, because of like I'm getting into racing at a certain age too, like I'm not really competing against those guys. I'm competing against older guys who have like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually got in at the right time because now it's easy. Now I'm not competing against guys who have been go-karting since they're 5.
Yeah.
Now I'm competing against guys who have successful businesses who make, you know, tens of millions of dollars per year. Like that's sort of the competition. Yeah.
Okay. We'll touch on more about your
racing. It's extremely complicated. No movies really talk about this. There's very few ways to find that out.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's a damn shame because like winning, say you win Le Mans or win a race as a gold driver, a platinum driver, like the way it's all categorized is a lot different from winning it as a bronze. I mean, it's the same result, but it's like, it's just super complicated.
So you're saying from like a money perspective? So if you win in bronze,
from a skill perspective.
Okay.
Like for example, like it goes bronze, silver, gold, platinum, like super. That's how it's like categorized.
That's like the different tier of cars, right? If I remember, like engines and stuff like that.
No. That's like driver ratings.
Okay.
And it goes by age.
Okay.
So.
And are you saying is that for Le Mans? Or
yeah.
You just
Yeah. That's for, pretty much every series. Like every series, they might say 1 car, 3 drivers, you need a bronze, silver, gold.
Right.
Or like the hyper cars, like gold is like the low. I don't even know if you can get in the car as a gold. You need to be a fucking platinum, which is really hard to get. Like F1, for example, like they have super license, so that's like the highest level.
That's above platinum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll touch on your COD journey. A couple more COD stuff though. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter recently. I think this might have been 2 days ago.
Yeah.
There was a discussion, I think, with Austin, with Kenny, that a lot of players in the league aren't actually trying to play to win. Yeah. I learned this from you, the difference of what essentially playing to win is, the kills that you make, the efficiency of the kills, and so on. Do you think with the current league, there is a genuine skill gap between the older pros and the people coming up now? And do you think there is a genuine knowledge gap between, say, like your Kennys and your Slashers, between the rookies coming up now?
Well, as far as a knowledge gap, yes. I think there's a huge knowledge gap. And I wouldn't say there's a skill gap. I would say there's like, it's like a passion gap that correlates to skill. And to me, I think if you compete in anything, you have a fucking time limit on how long you can do that and maintain passion for it.
Yeah.
Like, and to me, that correlates directly to skill. Like, I don't think your reaction time falls off or, you know, you over time just got worse. I think if anything changes, it's the whole mental aspect, and it's like what I talked about before, where it becomes work and it's not fun.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the determining factor for skill. So, yeah, again, that time limit, like it might be 10 years for someone, might be 15 years for someone, but everyone has that time limit.
Do you think the structure of the league has made it so players are comfortable?
Yes. Well, I think so. I mean, when I retired, talked about this a lot. Yeah. No one really cared. But the people who are running the teams they don't understand the game.
Mm-hmm.
They come from business backgrounds. They understand numbers. They understand analytics. So like we always made the joke of like, are you playing for green? Like, are you, and what that refers to is the GG breaking points tweets post series.
The stat cards, right?
Yeah, the stat cards where if you're positive, it's green, you know? So are you playing for green? Like that's what that means. But I think a lot of players are, especially in the bottom tier teams.
Yeah.
What? Like 5 through 12 are probably all doing that. And you actually see it in the middle of the season where it's like the bottom 4 will be like, fuck, like we're not going to make champs. Might as well just, play for next year. Which is a damn shame because the only people who lose in that scenario is, well, the only people who win in that scenario is the people that decide to stat whore and play for next year.
Yeah.
But in like say a team player on a team like that, he'll get dropped. For next year, the team will be worse. And then no one is really even aware of it most of the time. Most of the time, like the people within the org that are making the decisions do not even know. And that's sort of the issue is the people calling the shots don't play the game.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them for that, but it's just like, I don't know. It's sort of ruined Call of Duty as a whole.
Mm-hmm. So you race professionally for Rafa Racing Club and you're a sim racer for FaZe. How did that come around and how does that compare to COD Esports?
All right, I'll try to answer this question a little bit shorter than the full story. Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm professional. It's sort of weird. I asked like other professional drivers.
Yeah.
I was like, when can I start calling myself a pro? And they're like, they didn't even know how to answer that.
Yeah.
They said something like, well, based on your performance at Barber, the second round of the championship, they're like, yeah, I think you could call yourself a pro now. But ideally, well, not ideally. It's a very complicated portion of motorsport. But how it all came about was actually probably one of the luckiest things in my whole life. Back when I was playing Call of Duty, I would go to track days just for fun, for peace, like put my phone away for the day, just drive. I wouldn't time lapse or anything like that. But I met a guy named Adam, and Adam, like this is years ago.
Yeah.
It's like 7 years ago. And Adam ended up, he was doing data and coaching for Rafa Racing. And basically said, you should come out to this track day at Coda. I'm looking at the cost. I'm like, fuck, this is like at least 5,000 for just 2 days with my own car.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, come out. You got to meet everyone. And sort of like met everyone, had a blast. They were driving like race cars. I was driving my GT3 RS, so street car. But I was keeping up with them. So they're like, fuck, you're actually good. And Adam sort of swore by me too, because he has a lot of the lap records that are local tracks in Dallas.
Yep.
And I keep up with them there. And they pretty much said, hey, come out to the next one. Still had to pay for everything. Came out, and then that's when I was talking to Raphael about like next year, like what are your plans for racing?
Yeah.
And he sort of brought up like one seat is going to be for Paige, one seat is going to be for whoever wins the female sprint shootout.
Yeah.
So it was like 12 women competing for one spot. And then the third seat, he's like, I don't know what we're going to do with it. And I literally was like, I will do fucking anything.
Yeah.
I will do anything for that. And then F1 was like a month after that. And that's when I sort of found out I was going to be driving. And it was like the most unreal moment of my life. I'd say like that to me, like the feeling of joy on that was above anything I've ever experienced.
How did you find out?
Just conversation.
He just called you and...
No, we were in person.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was fucking crazy because that's an opportunity no one gets.
Yeah.
Like you could probably count on your hand how many people have gotten that.
Yeah.
Especially with my backstory, having no experience, having no, like, other than me being a gamer and having that story of like I used to play Call of Duty and then I went into sim racing. Now I'm actually driving cars. Like a lot of like basically 3 or 4 people have that story, and one of them's fucking Gran Turismo.
I was gonna say one of them has a movie on him. Yeah.
So I think that story actually was sort of one of the reasons why I got the drive.
Yeah.
Also social media, also me willing to do whatever it takes. I remember, so before I even found out about that I'd be driving, I talked to him, said I'll do anything.
Yeah.
There's a month gap. And even before he said yes or no, right? I started 2 days from that moment.
Yep.
So in 1 month I lost I think it was 15, it wasn't 20, but it was over 15 pounds just to show that hey, this is what I'm willing to do. So yeah, it was a crazy moment, and it still didn't even feel real after they said hey, you're gonna drive.
Yeah.
It still didn't even feel real until the moment I was leaving the pit lane.
Yeah.
In the car.
And then it hit. Then it's
in Florida, up until that point, I had already done personal training for 2 months, countless other things, social media stuff as well, a lot of phone calls, buying all my gear. None of that even felt real until I was leaving the pit lane in the car.
For your first lap?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, what does your schedule now look like, and how does that compare to COD? Because you've had to lose a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So people have seen your weight journey, right?
50 pounds.
50 pounds. So what's your schedule looking like? What advice can you give when it comes to weight loss? Because you're looking amazing right now.
Yeah. So I know we already talked about this earlier off camera, but something that's vastly different is wake up time. Now I'm waking up before the sun comes up. Which in gaming I was I didn't really fucking realize it until after I stopped gaming, where it was, damn, the sunrise is actually kind of cool.
What's a sunrise?
Yeah. No, I always make the joke pro gaming is basically you don't see the sunrise or sunset for most of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but so anyways, wake up between 5:30, 6:30. I got to drive to the gym. It's in South Lake. Work out for an hour, do medical stuff after that.
Yeah.
Come back, walk the dogs, then get on the sim for a little bit. Go to the gym again, work out for 2 hours. So in total, I'm working out just at gyms.
Yeah.
Around 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then after the second gym, I'll come home and sim again.
Yeah.
So it's working out for 4 to 5 hours, simming for 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Which racing or driving in sims is equivalent to a light workout in general.
So it's very physically demanding.
Yeah. So it's not so much on your core, but on your arms and your legs especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I mean, sometimes my Whoop will tell me activity detected just from practicing alone on a track in the sim. So yeah, it's sort of tough to stream or do content stuff because in my mind, I'm going to start doing that again.
Yeah.
But first things first is I need to get in shape.
Yeah. And so because it's so physically demanding,
yeah.
What do your workouts look like? Because you work out, you said twice.
It's weird. It's physically demanding, but it's not at the same driving, like actually racing in real life. It's the hardest thing by far is dealing with the heat and being able to think clearly and quickly, despite your like how much you're sweating.
So for focus, right?
Yeah, focus. It does get physically demanding doing multiple days in a row. That's probably another very tough part is like, I think anyone could jump in my car and drive it for, you know, one day. So like maybe 2 hours drive time. Will they be fast? Like I don't, whatever about the lap time, but the next day they'll be like incredibly sore.
Yeah.
And we will sometimes do like, on the race weekends, like this one coming up, we're doing 5 days in a row. And this is for a sprint challenge.
So you need a
so
where, endurance, right?
So where I want to get is endurance level, where you can drive 2 hours at a time and they'll start the practice, like the actual practice for the race, like a week before. So they might do like 7 days in a row. And then in the actual moment where you're competing, it's like out of 24 hours, you might drive 6 hours. So it's demanding, but the physical aspect, once you get used to how G-force feels, and like you don't really fight G-force, you just sort of loosen up a little bit. Like it gets less physically demanding. I feel like once you get used to it.
What does that feel like then for someone who's probably never experienced the levels of G-force you have?
So it's actually, I've thought about this. There's not many things that can replicate it, because say you take off in an airplane. Yeah. That's forward and backward G, which in a race car, like braking and accelerating are that amount of G-force, maybe braking, but the whole backwards G-force like is very weak. Like it's whatever. You don't even worry about that. Yeah. But in terms of like lateral G, like planes will tilt and then turn. They'll tilt and then turn, and that's forcing G backwards. There's very little things in anyone's daily life that has left and right G. The only comparison I could even think of was like maybe a roller coaster that does like a snake. Okay. Like that, that's on a flat surface that does a snake like that. There's not really any way to like truly prepare for that. Other than just driving experience. Yep. So, I mean, maybe a train, but like, not really.
Not going to be experiencing any.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, we're like, our cars are fast, but like as far as G-force that you'd feel in a race car, like we're at the low level. So it's like we might pull at most 1.5, 1.7 G, but it's like, you know, F1 they're pulling like 4 to 5 G. Yeah. So.
And then you've got fighter pilots who are probably pulling more, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but that's only forward and backwards.
Okay.
Like, flying like a fighter jet, it's just forward and back, just from the nature of like a jet would spin and then bank.
Okay, understood. Okay,
so it's like a fighter jet, if you could just turn it like this.
While accelerating?
But fighter jets don't turn like that. Yep. So.
Okay, so you're currently wearing a whip band. Yep. You train like an athlete. Are you using data to sort of structure your schedules, your relaxation, your recovery, stuff like that?
Well, as far as the Whoop goes, if it tells me, you know, you feel tired or you feel like crap today, I just ignore it. I don't listen. Like for the recovery and sleep, like it put me on a right path of like how much I should be sleeping, like when I should be sleeping, you know, all those little things. So the first couple of months, as far as like recovery and sleep go, like it definitely helps you. And then once you establish a habit I don't really look at it so much. But the biggest thing is it will tell you overall how many calories you burned on the day.
So that's the biggest thing you'll track.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So like it will start counting calories from 12:01 midnight to 11:59 p.m. And then at the end of the day, it'll say, hey, you burned, like, for example, when I first started, when I was big, when I was a big man, she was telling me, like, you're burning 3,800 calories just working out once a day. Yeah. Now it's down to 2,400 because I'm more fit now and my body burns less. Yeah. Yeah, but then I can calculate, okay, I'm burning this much. I need to eat this much. Yeah. So that to me is like, it's one half of the puzzle to losing weight. The other half is like how much are like tracking your food calories.
Yeah. So we were talking about this off screen. Your target weight is, you said, 175 pounds. You're currently about 205, I think you said, right? 200.
I'll be 206 tomorrow 206. When I weigh in. Yeah.
How many calories a day do you need to be in a deficit?
Well, I'm eating the calorie amount for like someone who weighs 145
How
right
much
now.
Is that?
1,700.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So starving yourself, mate.
Yeah. So for me, what I'm eating is
no Mike's chicken for you.
a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So I just don't feel all that hungry.
Yep.
But granted, it's like nitro cold beers, 5 calories each.
Yeah.
Like no water calories whatsoever, or liquid calories. I'll have an oatmeal with brown sugar. Yeah. Egg white bites and a coffee in the morning, and then I won't eat till dinner. And then dinner, I can basically eat whatever I want. Yeah. Because nothing's like 1,300 calories or more. Well, that's not true. You go to some places. Yeah. You go to a fucking Chili's or a Cheesecake Factory.
We don't go to Cheesecake Factory anymore.
I don't know if there's one thing in that menu that's under 1,000 calories.
We went to too many Cheesecake Factories in our year.
Oh,
I think. Yeah. I think we went to too many.
Yeah, but that to me has been the best sort of method rather than eating like a lot, but very little throughout the day. Like I'll feel hungry as hell. Yeah. But with what I'm doing right now, it's like I'll feel very hungry for 2 hours and then forget about it. Like after that, I'm over the hump. It's easy until I have dinner.
And you're used to it. Yeah. Okay. So with your racing, you said you need to have long hours of focus, consistent focus, not like COD, where you mentioned 10 minutes, right? Do you do any mental skills training to work on your focus? How do you develop that?
I mean, the only thing I really do is like brain games in the sauna. And the sim work. The sim work, like practicing on the sim, is so much different than competitively practicing in Call of Duty. Yeah. Because the biggest thing that I've always said is it's lonely as fuck. Like it is only you. If you are talking to someone, you're slow. If you're listening to music, you're slow. Like it has to be you, the car, the track. And that's the only thing that is engaging you. And you'll do that for hours just by yourself. And that sort of taught me like a level of like discipline and focus, like discipline focus. Because not gonna lie, when I started doing professional sim racing, I was like a month in, I was like, dude, this is tough because you have no one to talk to really. Yeah. It's literally just you. But I don't know. It got easier once I actually started improving every day I got on. Yeah. Before it was just like I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
So in the moment, it's just you in the car. But with preparation, do you have a large team?
Yeah. I mean, like we'll use like comparison laps or like data. Yeah. To sort of figure out where you're fast, where you're slow. But in the actual moment where you're actually like you have to go out there and perform to have something to compare with, right? Yeah. That's where I was just saying like it's lonely. Yeah. Yeah, but the racing is very data driven now. And now I'm at the point where I can do it all by myself pretty much. Like you give me a lap, I'll figure out everything else I'll figure out where I'm slow, where I need to do less braking, more throttle, like all that stuff.
Yeah. So you're saying racing is very data driven. Do you think COD Esports would ever get to that point? Do you think it can get to that point, or it should?
Well, the issue is that it like driving is pretty simple. Yeah. There's brake, throttle, left, right.
Go forward, go backwards.
And then gear shifts, you know? That's like very few inputs. Like if COD wants to be at that level where it's like data driven, like like one of the data stats I wish I could break down was how much time per map you spend on your left trigger, do ADS.
Yeah.
Like if I like that was one stat I wish I could fucking see even while I was competing, because like the times where I'd have bad games, like I noticed I wasn't aiming down sight a lot.
You were banging, my boy.
Yeah,
I remember the Tuscan. I remember how many engagements did you have? Ian, slow it down.
But like little things like that, like average reaction time, like I mean that stuff is not something I'd see Activision putting in or supporting. So yeah, it's a lot different because there's a lot more inputs in Call of Duty or just FPS or fuck video games in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next question's it's going to be a difficult one to ask or difficult one to put. Because you're racing, because it's something new compared to your Sims, so I'm talking actual racing, does it feel like you had the same nerves or like the same mindset as you did when you first started COD or Halo, if that makes sense? Because you're doing something new for the first time. Or did you feel like your experiences in COD helped you with your racing, like your nerves, your confidence, your prep, all of these different things?
Yeah, I mean, it's exponentially helped me. I think that's the one leg up I have on probably fucking anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not the highest level because they're very comfortable with racing or driving, you know, like while I might be on my 10th race start, they might be on their, 300th. In that aspect, I have a disadvantage. But as far as like where I'm at right now in my league and my competition, like big time, I have a huge advantage. Call of Duty and video games sort of taught me how to think and how to prepare.
Yeah.
And I think that aspect alone is where I'm like leagues ahead of who I'm competing against.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this much, like doing the race starts when you're fucking 2 feet from another car.
Yeah.
And another car's less than a foot behind you and just driving side by side, like Call of Duty or any video games in general, I've never made my heart race as fast as that. Like we thought it was adrenaline in Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's not.
I'm
telling you, it's I don't know what it is, but it's not adrenaline. Like doing these race starts, like that was where I was like, fuck, this is real adrenaline right here. But in Call of Duty and video games, it's like it's not what you think, because
I guess it's
a
relative,
completely
right?
different fucking feeling in racing. Like in racing, it's probably the fact that, fear of death. Like I have to get a good start. I have to focus on, like I'm so zoned in. Like how you do starts is like where the tire, like say I'm in second.
Right.
So this is me. This is a car. I'm basically going when they go.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm focusing on the wheel well. So the tire from the top of the tire to the car, there's like the gap.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking for if the gap gets bigger or smaller. Because if it gets bigger, that means their front end is raised and they're powering. They're giving it throttle.
Okay. So
it's like focusing on that while you're worried about not getting smacked by the car behind you. While you're worried about like, okay, we're starting late going into this corner. Like there's a million different things you have to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's just your heart gets going like crazy because you're doing so many different tasks all at once.
Do you ever get used to it? Or is it the fact that you don't get used to it, but you can deal with it better?
I would say now I'm getting used to it better. Yeah, at first it was fucking nuts. It was probably a good thing that my first race I ever did, I was in pole position, P1.
Yeah.
So my job was easy. It was just go whenever you feel like it. Yeah, but that one, the third race I ever did, the first like actual race, starting in last, was crazy.
Why?
We had a battery issue on sort of the pre-grid. So it's equivalent to like, imagine one of your players backstage right before you do the walkout starts fucking randomly puking.
Yeah.
And, you know, they can't play the first couple of maps. And then they come back for map 3. Like, that's essentially what happened.
Right.
So, yeah, that was... And then I had to work my way through all the rest of the field. And I think after, like, the 6th or 7th overtake, I was like, oh, shit, this feels exactly like the video game.
I just can't respawn if I crash.
Yeah. Well, that was the weird part is I was willing to go. So it was a battery to the fire extinguishing, like, module. So if the car went up in flames, this unit would tell the car to extinguish the fire.
Yeah.
I was ready to go out there without that shit, but it's an official like Porsche series, so they would have DQ'd me. They're like, you can go out, but we're gonna DQ you. Like you have to get that fixed. So
it's a bit of a weird question then, because you mentioned off screen. So when you're simulating, when you're in your simulator, you're going around a corner. You're going to go at 100%, 99, 98, 97 until you find whatever works without crashing.
Yeah.
Do you have that same mindset for actual racing?
No. Yeah. So what we talked about was in the sim, you work down. So if you go in a corner at 100 miles an hour, you crash. Then next time around, you try it at 99.
Yeah.
And you keep trying until it works.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of crashing. But in real life, it's like you go from down to up.
Yeah.
Which both ways, like even if I go down to up, at one point you might fucking crash.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell where the limit is. But I would say actually not anymore. I know I can feel it. Mm-hmm. But initially it was like that. Like I had no idea where that limit was. I was just driving as fast as I could.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the crash you had.
Yep.
What was going through your mind? That was the first ever crash you had, right? What's going through your mind?
So first of all, it's weird when you're in a race car and you get hit like that. Like, I've never even had a road car crash. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't violent at all. Like the only thing violent was the wheel.
Right.
Other than that, like I think it may have popped my neck back into place. I was having some neck pain beforehand. And then I had that crash and the neck felt fine the rest of the weekend. Yeah, but it was crazy. I mean, I haven't really thought about it much, but thinking about it now, it's crazy to think about 3 years ago. I was, sitting down all day for a job. Now I'm like in a fucking wreck. The cool part was I got to keep the door and the fender. It's going up on my wall. It's got a massive hole in it, and I think it'll look pretty cool.
That's insane. Okay, let's bring back to COD real quick. Couple of questions for you here. Did you ever have a teammate that you hated?
Damn.
And if so, why?
I can give you a couple serious answers, but
up to you.
I don't want to do that.
You can just say yes and then why. You don't have to give a name.
Yes and why? Okay.
Just this is more so for like the viewers to not be that guy.
I don't want to stir the pot. My days of stirring the pot are over.
You can give a vague answer, nothing specific.
I would say.
Or let's change the question.
Yeah.
What qualities of a teammate
let's
you
pass
did,
on that?
What qualities of a teammate that you didn't like? or you wouldn't like?
I would say people who are... the one thing that would piss me off the most is when people would laugh. When I'm dead serious, like if I'm getting laughed, not laughing with you, but laughing at you.
Belittling you.
Yeah. That shit would fucking infuriate me. Because I'm sitting here putting, 2 and 2 together, trying to help the team, trying to help us get better to achieve results. And then I'm getting laughed at by the person that's sitting next to me.
Like you're meant to go to war.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That shit there's nothing that would piss me off as much as that. Like someone could insult my entire bloodline on another team or say the most fucked up shit possible. But if a teammate did that to me, just laughed at me trying to help the team out, then that would infuriate me the most.
That just comes from a basic standard of respect.
Yeah.
Right? Having that basic respect for your teammate.
Yeah. And it's just so many things. It's like no respect, waste of time. Not just your time, but the team's time.
Yeah.
It's just harmful in every single degree possible. So that to me was the quality where I just couldn't stand it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's a whole conversation about, I mean, you talk about culture, you talk about stuff like that. I mean, that's a whole different conversation, really. Okay. Who's the best teammate you ever had? And I want a name. And I want a why.
Probably Damon in the OpTic dynasty. I think if you take me or Damon out of that equation, you get half the wins.
But winning aside, why?
Winning aside,
so results aside, why were they your best?
So me and Damon would always be bouncing off each other on ideas or how to improve. We're always the ones keeping, like, say we had a tournament where we won, we feel on top of the world.
Yeah.
Let's say I did, right? Then Damon would be the one to like knock us back down and be like, reality check, we got to win tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, and I would do the same for Damon too. And not only just, me to him, but it would always be Damon to the full team or me to the full team, like keeping us in check.
Yeah.
In complexity, he was super talented, just fucking wasted half the time. Those are the days where we still out practiced and out grinded everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Those are the days where we were truly untouchable. Like we could think whatever we wanted after a tournament. We'd still win the next one.
Is this true? I think Aches might have said this on the flank or something, but there were tournaments where you guys wouldn't even practice for like a week or two. You'd show up and still win.
That was fucking Pat, man. Pat would literally like show up to scrims and like purposely try to get 10 kills, 40 deaths and see if we could still win.
Yeah.
And like he talks like, yo, I was doing it on purpose. I was trying to test you guys. Like I was trying to make you guys better by shitting the bed.
Yeah.
I'm like, Pat, no, that's not what fucking happened at all. You just woke up late this morning, stayed up late last night, and you just don't want to try today. Like, come on, dude. I mean, the result was us three got better when he didn't try.
Yeah.
Right. So it was actually a huge positive result, but the spin on the story is fucking...
It wasn't deliberate. Let's say
yeah, it was not deliberate.
But that's accountability, though. Yeah. You and Damon, you and Aches.
Yeah. I would say, our accountability between, like, the best three I've ever had by far.
Yeah.
Was Aches, Damon, and Clay. Teep's up there too, but Teep was like a lot more casual about it.
Yeah.
Like I'd put Teep fifth or fourth. Yeah, fourth.
You think that's what's missing, the accountability in this generation of COD pros, based on your experiences as well?
I would say no.
No?
It's the money.
Comfortable.
Yeah. There's too much money now. Like, at the end of the day, they're getting paid so much that they don't even know what to do with the money. And when money is not really an aspect, like back in the day on Complexity, my first ever salary, keep in mind, I'd played Halo, I'd played professional Call of Duty, professional Call of Duty, then professional Halo, then back to professional Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like I'm 8 to 9 years in at this point.
Yeah.
Fuck, I even played Battlefield for a year for an imaginary tournament.
I was gonna say
made $0. First ever salary was $500 a month. You go into the CDL now, say you're a rookie, league minimum is what, 60?
60K.
60K a year.
Yeah.
Like back then, in order for us to not eat cup of noodles every single meal for a month, we had to win something.
Yeah.
We had to win tournaments. Now you just show up and you can drive around a fucking Mercedes.
Yeah.
Granted, it'd probably be a shitty one, but
still better than nothing.
Yeah. Right. And I think that's sort of the issue is like there's that level of hunger. And then people talk about, oh, you were playing plumbers back then. Like, dude.
But that ceiling's relative though.
No, well, when you look at it from the aspect of like, if you wanted to make a living off what you're doing in Call of Duty, you had to place well, you had to win. And they were plumbers back then. Like it makes no sense because now it's like, you just fucking show up, you're getting paid. Back then you actually had to succeed and like place well in order to live. Like huge, vastly different.
Yeah.
I think that also the amount of players back then was probably 5 times as much.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it may have been 10 times as much. And to me, it's like football, soccer is the most difficult sport in the world because for every one Messi or Ronaldo, you have 2 billion people. Mm-hmm. And it's just the ratio of like this many people play it. This guy's the best. Like, what's that ratio? I think that's how you determine difficulty.
Okay.
Okay,
fair enough. Right, for some drama.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on the timeline during Major 3. You might know of. You were racing, I think. Drazah and Scrap, best friends turned to bitter enemies.
Yeah.
I know you like to, you like to trash talk a little, but they took it to another level. I like them both on a personal level, but what's your opinion on personal beef?
Well, the one thing I can respect from them is that even when they were both terrible, they were still trash talking back then. So at least they're maintaining the fact that they're still talking trash. Mm-hmm. They haven't really changed in that regard. Now they're just good, and now they're shit talking.
Okay.
It's weird. Me going into racing and other stuff outside of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It seems like the most immature shit in the world now. Like I don't trash talk anybody really. I don't know. They need to be a little bit more creative on the trash talk. Like right now, it just feels like they're repeating the same words and phrases that they say in 8s and then in real life.
Okay. Are you hoping for one of them to actually punch another?
No. No, that will never happen. And if they get in a fight, the only person who wins is the audience.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That old beef is just I don't even think it's funny anymore.
Right. Is it because it's repetitive or?
No, it's just where I'm at in my life, mental state, what I'm doing now. It's just, I don't know. It's beyond me now.
So then what's your opinions on having a villain? We say villain, but having someone that talks trash a little bit in COD, specifically COD.
I just think the way Call of Duty does it, or the way the fact that they're typing it over fucking Twitter.
Yeah.
That's just whack. Like, I think if you're going to make trash talk like that, at least do a low effort 2-minute YouTube video and monetize the crap out of it. And then that way the trash talk will be funnier. Like, a message to Drazah from Scrap.
Can we have like a music battle, like a music diss?
Or just, something like that, man. Because like doing it over Twitter, and I realize it's hypocritical for me to say this, but looking back at it now, like I wish I would have just, if I was going to make a tweet, I wish I just recorded a video of just me trash talking, like the one to Formal.
Yeah.
Where I was like, when's Jumanji 3 coming out? You Jack Black looking fuck. Like, I wish I just said that over a video. Like, it would have been so much funnier.
That could be,
and it would have seemed like more authentic and almost mature, like more mature if I did it over video, not over a keyboard.
Ian, that could be the intro to your next YouTube video. When you used to have the wacky intros.
My YouTube channel's dead. I'm trying to revive it, but it's tough.
We'll get there. Okay, a bit more of a serious topic here. So you married your current wife, Dana.
Yep.
And that's been since if I remember correctly, 2019, I want to say. 2020, 2019?
It should have been like 2020. Right. I think it was 2022. We had to postpone the wedding like 5 times because of COVID.
Yeah, but before the wedding, you were basically married.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Was she at all influential in your decision to retire? And was she a part of your decision in racing?
To retire from Call of Duty, I think that she sort of knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't even want to go to events anymore, tournaments. Yeah, she sort of knew I was on one foot out the door already. Yeah, I don't know. And then for racing, she didn't even think it was real until like I'm at the race, at the first race.
Yeah.
I think she thought I was just messing around. But yeah, now she finally went to a race.
Yep.
Saw what it was about. Thought it was like incredibly cool. It was funny. She had the same exact feeling of talking to everyone in the club.
Yeah.
Was like, how do I talk normally to people now? And like for me, I was so used to talking to gamers. Like I had very little experience talking to normal people.
Actual conversational skills.
Yeah, yes. I was like, shit, like I don't know if I need a YouTube search how to have a fucking conversation.
You're checking my dope. Say stuff like that. Like.
Yeah. No, to remove a lot of the gamer lingo, which that I did gladly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was in the same boat. But she had a blast. She had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
So
since retiring, how's your sort of day-to-day life changed before you got into racing? Did it feel like a massive weight was off your shoulders?
Content was horrible. Doing Warzone content, especially, that shit was fucking terrible. Juan, are you looking at me? Juan over there was editing some of the videos, and I was just like, watching them back now, I was like, damn, I was fucking mad. I was just randomly angry in so many of these videos. I don't know, and they ruined Warzone big time. Yeah, but the whole sim racing thing, what really happened was after I retired, I built that sim rig. That was probably a fucking mistake to do it in the first month because I was getting like mad viewers and everyone's like, you're retired, like what are you gonna do now? Make content, this and that. Like they were all there supporting. I was sitting there building a sim rig on stream. Yeah. Not talking about chat.
I was there.
Yeah. But to me, I was just so focused on the next thing.
Yeah.
And the issue, what happened was I built that sim rig. Then I also started doing Warzone stuff.
Yeah.
But I got addicted to the sim, to racing, to driving. And the issue with that was that no one really wanted to watch that, even now to this day. Yeah. Like sim racing compared to Call of Duty content, you know, vastly different in terms of viewership. So I got addicted to something that no one really wanted to see.
Yeah.
And that was like every time I was on COD, I wish I was driving.
Yeah. But Ian, when you say you were addicted, and this was a month after you retired.
Yeah.
Was that...
It was like I found passion for a video game again.
But was that a gap? Was that filling the gap that was left from competing?
Yes.
Because that was everything you knew for your life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think... Yeah, it sort of felt, the best way to describe it is you almost feel like you have purpose in whatever you're doing. And I mean, for me then, it felt like I had purpose. Yeah. Just based off how difficult it was. Like at the time I wasn't competing, I wasn't doing this and that, but to me in my mind, there was like a goal, which was just drive faster. And it was very difficult to find that out. It's like the same reason why a lot of the Call of Duty players will like Valorant or CSGO or Counter-Strike is because of how difficult it is. Like you hop on Call of Duty, you close your eyes, get kills as a pro. Then you go to those games and you get shit on and it almost feels good. Like to me, that's what sim racing was doing. It was like I was getting obliterated, was not even close to doing well. But because it was so difficult and challenging, that's why I loved it.
Yeah. Okay. Did you feel like you had any regrets moving so quick and dedicating yourself to sim racing as quick as you did, rather than, I know it's going to sound very like cliche, but enjoy retirement, do the things that you couldn't?
No, I'd say the one aspect people don't really talk about when you retire from Call of Duty is you're going to have to find a way to make money. And when I was doing content on Warzone, like, dude, I was doing like 17-hour streams, 18-hour streams. Which to me, it's like, I don't know how people do that.
Right.
But that's something to consider when you retire is you got to be okay with that. And for me is, I don't know, ever since I was competing in Call of Duty, even when I was at the top and at the, like, doing the best, I was just like, in the back of my head, I was like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I always felt like I was meant to do something more than just play video games.
Yeah.
So
then would you give advice to people to start building a brand while they compete?
Oh yeah, I think that's incredibly important. I think if there's one thing you take away from this podcast is that I am now driving like quote unquote professionally because I built a brand.
Yeah.
Like, and if you don't do that, like, I don't know. Well, your life after you retire is up in jeopardy. Like, you don't know. You might end up making it in business, or you might be flipping patties. Yeah. Like, if you don't build your brand, like, while you're competing, afterwards, it's going to be 20x harder.
But see, I know a couple of players who say the reason why they don't want to build their brand is because they want to focus entirely on competing. What's your opinion on that? So
that is true to an extent, where if you multitask multiple things, you're going to, rather than reaching 100% of your potential in one thing, you're going to reach like 80 in both. At the end of the day, it's just, you need to do it.
Yep.
Like, you might end up keeping your roster spot because of your brand. Because you uploaded those 30 YouTube videos in 6 months or whatever, you know, ideally way more than that.
Yeah.
But because you decided to do that and work on yourself, you now got to keep your spot.
Yeah.
Which gives you an opportunity. Because it's like, if we're going off only analytics, which the CDL teams love to use, if I'm looking at two players with a 1.0 KD, like, I don't care what they look like, years of experience, like, I'm going to pick the one with the bigger brand.
Yeah.
Because the stats are the same, except their social media stats.
Yeah.
Which teams, so the best way for me to describe this is teams will use your stats, your social media stats, to go to sponsors and get money.
Correct.
And if you don't have a brand built, your value is instantly lower than someone who does.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, they get, you know, someone who goes positive, someone who can win, and someone with the brand. But in my eyes, the order would actually be probably someone who goes positive.
Yeah.
Then your brand, then someone who wins. And to me, that's ass backwards. But
ultimately, it's a business.
That's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no surprises. You're a big car guy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your car history and what is your dream car? I think the viewers will be interested to hear.
First car I ever had, Volkswagen Jetta, manual, hand me down.
Solid.
Hand me down. I used to do burnouts in that thing.
Solid.
Someone stole the fucking catalytic converter out of it. Damn bastards. Then I had a BMW M4.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yep. Then I had a Porsche Cayman GT4, first version of the GT4.
Yep.
Fucking love that car. To this day, it's probably my favorite road car. Then I ordered a Miami Blue GT3 manual. Because I did that, I got the employee discount lease on a Panamera. So I at one point I had 2 Porsches. But yeah, that I got like $100,000 Panamera for $500 a month for 6 months. So like just to live in Chicago during the winter.
I'm assuming that was Dana's. I'm gonna assume.
Nope. That was my second car.
That was your daily driver?
Yeah. Okay. Oh well, in the winter you can't even drive that GT4. So then I got the GT3, gave the Panamera back, traded in the GT4. Then I got a Jeep. Then I traded in the GT3 for a GT3 RS. So, and recently sold the GT3 RS to sort of fund the racing.
Let's touch on that real quick. What do you mean fund the racing?
Well, I mean, mainly for the equipment. Like if I would have to have 5 GT3 RSs and sell all 5 to fund 1 season of what I'm doing right now. So that's the part where I'm like blessed is even though I'm not getting paid, I'm not paying for it either.
So just to be clear, Rafa cover all your expenses.
Which there's something coming out that I can't really talk about all that much, but let's just say it's being filmed. So
behind the scenes. Drive to Survive with
not that not that that shit's fake. This is real.
Okay. Big gun guy. We've been shooting together. We've been to the range. Amazing. How did that come about? How did you develop your passion for guns?
Well, passion for guns sort of has always been there. Used to airsoft as a kid. Used to paintball, speedball, Call of Duty, obviously. Like, man, the only video games I ever really played was racing video games and FPS, or just shooting games. You know, I don't know. I wanted a gun in the OpTic house, but there was a no guns rule. That's how bad I wanted guns, like way back. I used to shoot with my dad a little bit, but I remember one range day, me and my dad were shooting at fucking 22, right? Some guy pulls up. The actual brand is called Accuracy International.
Okay.
But he basically shows up with a fucking op. He showed up with an op and like yellow like shooting glasses. And with the turtleneck sweater on, I was like, this guy's a fucking assassin. Like, so at that moment, I was like, damn, you can actually own, because at the time I was playing Counter-Strike. So I was like, that's a fucking op, dude. And
I gotta get one of them.
And I was like 12 years old at the time. But yeah, that was when I was like, damn, you can actually buy the guns that you play in the video games. And yeah, sort of got into it, went a little bit overboard. Sold a lot of them. Sold a lot of them now.
No way.
Yeah. It sold pretty much the ones I can sell. All the other stuff that's like legal, like I had to submit like forms to the ATF.
Like the SCAR you have.
Sold the SCAR.
No way.
So now I only have like short barrel rifles and a whole lot of extra suppressors now.
Dude.
That I got to get rid of. But that's all like tied to your name. So I have to untie it to my name first, and then I can sell it.
So what was your favorite gun in the collection that you
still have it?
Which one?
LMT.
What's that?
Lewis Machine Tool AR-15.
Okay.
They're like it's super high end. Still got the 300 blackouts. Still got all my pistols pretty much.
Because I remember shooting the one with we shot a pistol with I think it had the hollow sight, and there was no recoil. Like there was no recoil. I don't know which one that was. That was insane.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos to figure out what's the best parts. So that's sort of been a cheat code on setting up the guns and everything.
Do you still do the simulation or the LARPing?
Oh, I want to. The issue now is that I don't think any of my clothes are gonna fit. I haven't really tried it on. The body armor and the helmet will still fit for sure.
Yeah.
But ever since I started doing the actual real life racing, everything has been put on hold.
So let's say you get some free time.
Yeah.
Whatever off season. I don't know if there is an off season. Would you ever consider doing the VR esports? So the stuff that Flames does.
I've seen that.
Would you ever consider doing that?
I want to try it for sure.
Yeah. We should go. There's one in Flower Mound. We went to it with the team. So we can.
You know what you should do? They do. Yeah. We'll talk. We're short on time. We're short on time.
All right. Final 2 questions.
Okay.
Who is on your COD Mount Rushmore excluding yourself? Because you're obviously on it.
Me, Scump.
Sorry, excluding
Damon.
yourself.
Oh.
So move yourself out.
Scump, Damon. Ooh. See, this question's tough because I don't want to separate it from skill versus importance.
Yep.
So I'll say me or Scump, Damon, Nade Shot.
Yep.
Clayster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question.
Yeah.
Was the GOAT title something you actively tried to chase, or was that just a consequence of winning?
Well, I was trying to chase Ogre 2's championship count.
What's that, 42?
40.
40? Okay.
Yeah, fell short. So
Come
that's
back.
sort of why I like the tattoo too, because it reminds me that fell short.
Hey, the way you're moving in racing, you might get
get
40.
Well, once I get to the highest level,
Yep.
like the actual endurance 24-hour races, then I'll start adding those.
Yep.
But for what I'm doing right now, it's like not the same. So it's not the same level. It'd be like the weird shit with that is that most people, like, if you somewhat know about it, you're like, okay, yeah, you're racing against a bunch of older rich dudes.
Yeah.
Right. But if you really know about it, you'll be like looking at the times, like the lap times that I'm doing, and you'll be like, holy fuck. So it's a weird situation where it's like, no matter what, we should be getting podiums. Like like me, Caroline, and this other guy named Nick Schaefer. We should be getting podiums every single time, no matter what, us 3.
Yeah.
But the times we're doing are closer to our pro coaches than the rest of the grid. Like for example, Sebring, I went faster than my pro coaches.
Yeah.
The other 2 races, like maybe like 0.4 to 0.7 off. So,
And that's a huge margin, right, in racing?
I would say it is, but they're also driving my car with no weight disadvantage. Mm-hmm. So like they're like one of them might be 140 pounds. Yeah. So that instantly makes them fucking 0.2 to 0.3 per 0.3 to 0.2 seconds quicker per lap.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you, Ian Crimsix, for the greatest Call of Duty player of all time.
Thank you.
And I'm very grateful and humble and genuinely the fact that we could work together in that Vanguard year. Learned so much from that year.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I learned a lot.
You're welcome.
I did. I sponged everything I could from you, and you were.
I made Paco and Kismet so much better by just being terrible.
You weren't terrible. I think.
No, I was pretty fucking dude. When I got a 3-piece once, I was like, damn, it's been a while. That was literally what I thought in the Vanguard year.
From my perspective, I didn't think you were terrible at all. You know, I think we had a lot of good times. A lot of.
I would say I was a really good teammate, but a fucking dog shit player. Like I was not. The fact that I couldn't remember 3 pieces off my head is insane.
We can leave it at that, but I'm grateful for all the learnings and the reflections that we had.
Yeah,
we won't talk about the off season. We'll talk about the flag. But
no, that was just for fun.
That was scripted.
that was a Scrappy versus Drazah.
It was
shit right there.
I think we learned, especially me. I took a lot from that year, so I'm always forever grateful for that.
Yeah.
Best of luck in your new journey. You know, you're looking fantastic.
Thank you.
It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully the viewers learn.
A few thousand salads more to eat, though.
I don't envy you whatsoever. Yeah, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you want a part 2, if you want a breakdown of the NYSL drama, make sure you like and subscribe.
I'm not doing that one.
No, but we bait them in. We bait them.
You gotta
like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're
about to say you gotta pay me to come back for that fucking one.
No. So we bait them. We say we'll do it. They like it, but we won't do it.
One, don't cut that part.
Do not cut that. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Cool.